Yo, what is good, y'all? So I have a question. I have a serious question. So when you think about the game in general, it's kind of crazy how everything has been moving and evolving. I feel like basketball as a whole is definitely probably one of the fastest evolving sports known to man, realistic. And it's funny because, at least in my personal opinion, I feel like the evolution of, well, sports in general is realistically due to entertainment. And I feel like owners of these leagues have to constantly ask themselves, how do we make the game more entertaining? And now, more specifically with basketball, with the introduction of the 1v1 space, I feel like Ball is Life and TNC and OTD have to realistically do the same thing. Now, obviously, the main topic of this video is the step. And it's crazy because, at least in my opinion, when done correctly, I think it's such a beautiful move. And there really is truly an art to being able to use footwork and being able to spin off your pivots and realistically being able to score from a tougher shot, at least in some instances. Obviously, there are instances where you may ultimately get a wide open layup or a wide open shot off, but in most cases the shot is probably going to be harder than the one that you would have originally taken. Now, I think probably the biggest question out of all of this is it a trap? Now, the crazy part is the step through is not necessarily a move intended for a trap. In my opinion, more so a move to show the lack of discipline from your defender. Now, where I think I personally have a problem with the step through is really the abuse of it. Like, I feel like there are certain players in the space that ultimately look to the step through as a bailout, not necessarily a move to actually score, but more so a move for when they're stuck. Now, obviously, if the player runs into a more disciplined defender and they're not jumping or they're not leaving their feet, you know, it becomes a problem. But all in all, I really think that it boils down to the refs and how they ultimately call it for that game. Now, here's where the entertainment aspect comes into play. So regardless if this move is a travel or not, as a company, you kind of have to ask yourself, is this something that is ultimately entertaining? Whether it be negative entertainment or positive entertainment. Meaning, like, if you get a player that is constantly doing this, and though that may be looked at as something that's negative, it's ultimately positive for the actual company. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's attracting viewers, which obviously is ultimately entertainment. But then, on the flip side, right, you kind of have to ask yourself, where is the integrity of keeping the game sort of the way that it always has been? But I mean, at the end of the day, who cares about the integrity of the game? Now, here's the other thing, right? Refs actually were to call the step through every single time. I personally think that would be realistically terrible for the game. Only because, I mean, I do think on a positive note, it would really more so make players step their game up, not necessarily rely on this move, but at the same time, I mean, these games would be extremely long. I want y'all to be completely honest with yourselves. Would y'all actually watch that game? It's just like if you were to go to watch an NBA game. I mean, me personally, I would not watch the game if it was constant fouls called every single possession. Because, I mean, realistically, a foul can be called almost every single possession. But that would ultimately take away from the actual entertainment of the game, as I said before. So I don't know. I'm kind of going to leave it up to you guys. First of all, how do you guys view the step through? I mean, some of you guys may actually say that it's not even a travel. Do you guys feel as though it's not a travel, or it is? Second, if it is a travel, do you guys think that it should be called more often? And lastly, and this one is the hardest one, be real with yourself. If they do start to call this travel on a step through, would you actually continue to watch the game? As usual, drop all this down in the comments. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think of the step through and really just calling the game in general. I really want to try to grow this page and make it more discussion based with all of y'all. So anything that you guys have, even if it's just ideas, please let me know. As usual, subscribe, like, and share. Other than that, I'm out. Peace.